Is the United States committed to emphasizing the centrality of Kashmir voices in determining the future of the Jammu and Kashmiri people?
I would disagree with the characterization that we don't have a values-based relationship with the government of Prime Minister Modi. And I would just underscore that Prime Minister Modi came in a consecutive term. He achieved a majority vote in a very diverse
we can agree to disagree on that. I just would like to understand if we are going to centralize the voices of the Kashmiri and
But just to provide context, I mean, the actions he took were approved in Parliament, including by members of the opposition. The Supreme Court is reviewing that decision. The High Court is reviewing...
45 seconds in, and it's already obvious. This isn't about facts. This is about pushing a narrative. Ilhan Omar comes in swinging, trying to paint one of America's key democratic allies as some kind of villain, throwing around loaded accusations like they're facts. But she picked the wrong moment, because sitting right there is Alice Wells, cool, composed, and ready to shut it down with reality. You can feel it building, every exaggeration, every stretch, every attempt to twist a legal democratic process into something extreme, and it all crashes the second facts enter the room. This is what happens when political theater collides with actual expertise. No shouting, no chaos, just a clean, methodical dismantling. If you've ever wondered what it looks like when narrative-driven outrage gets exposed in real time, this is it. Smash that like button, subscribe, and stay locked in, because the full breakdown of this moment is coming right after the clip.
Ambassador Wells, as you know, last month I let a letter to Ambassador Juster and Jones, with you CC'd on it, on the situation of Kashmir. Our partnership with India is strategic, but it's also based on our shared values of democracy, religious pluralism, and the respect of human rights. Under Modi and the BJP government, all of these mutual values have been threatened. And I think we have to understand the situation in Kashmir as part of an overall Hindu nationalism project of the BJP. So my first question to you is about the right of self-determination. Is the United States committed to emphasizing the centrality of Kashmir voices in determining the future of the Jammu and Kashmiri people?
I would disagree with the characterization that we don't have a values-based relationship with the government of Prime Minister Modi. And I would just underscore that Prime Minister Modi came in a consecutive term. He achieved a majority vote in a very diverse
we can agree to disagree on that. I just would like to understand if we are going to centralize the voices of the Kashmiri and...
But just to provide context, I mean, the actions he took were approved in Parliament, including by members of the opposition. The Supreme Court is reviewing that decision. The High Court is reviewing habeas corpus petitions. The institutions of India's democracy are working. We absolutely believe that a Kashmiri's voice needs to be heard, that in any restoration, when there is restoration of a of an assembly, when there are state assembly elections, that's the way for Kashmiris to be able to register their views, also in peaceful assembly. And so I think the concern over the restrictions on movement and what we've seen over the last 78 days is that ability to protest peacefully has been difficult for Kashmiris to exercise.
Yeah. I mean, and the part of the reason I asked and the part of the reason I emphasized the context of the larger BGP project is because I think in both cases, the impunity we have seen for crimes against Muslims under the BJP was warming for such worse things to come. In Assam, almost 2 million people are being asked to affirmably approve their citizenship. As my colleague and the chairman said, there have been official statements to the effect that no Buddhist, Christian, Sikh, or Jain refugees need to worry about their status. And so this is a clear anti-Muslim program. And I'm sure you've seen the same reports that the Indian government is starting to build camps in Assam, presumably to hold those who are unable to prove their citizenship. This is how the Rohingya genocide started. At what point do we no longer share values with India? Are we waiting for the Muslims in Assam to be put in those camps?
The certification of citizenship in Assam dates to a 2013 Supreme Court ruling that ordered the government to do so, to address questions of illegal immigration. The process, which continues to unfold and continues to be challenged in the court, it now has 1.9 million people who have not been certified. And that includes both Muslims and Hindus. There are 300 appeal panels that are being set up for those individuals to appeal this determination. And as my colleague stated, we're concerned that many of these individuals who may not have the wealth or the education to successfully be able to document their citizenship are vulnerable. We will continue to watch this very closely, but I would stress that the appeal process is still open. The judicial process is still working in India. And as a democracy, we respect other democracies' abilities to self-police and self-regulate. And so this process is underway. Our voices have been heard. Your voice is going to be heard. Obviously, there's international attention focused on this national
This was a total reality
registration.
check, and Alice Wells didn't even have to raise her voice to deliver it. Ilhan Omar came in swinging with the usual script, accusations, exaggerations, and straight-up fearmongering, trying to compare a legal citizenship process in a democracy to genocide. That's not just wrong, it's reckless. Wells crushed it with facts. The process Omar is attacking? Started by India's own Supreme Court. It includes both Hindus and Muslims. There are appeals. Courts are reviewing it. That's what a functioning democracy looks like, something Omar conveniently ignores because it doesn't fit her narrative. And then the Kashmir angle, again, more emotional manipulation. Wells calmly reminded everyone that India has democratic institutions, elections, and legal processes actively working through these issues. Translation: this isn't some authoritarian free-for-all, no matter how badly Omar wants to paint it that way. What you're really seeing here is a pattern, Omar jumping at every opportunity to attack allies while downplaying the actual facts. It's identity politics over reality, outrage over accuracy. And when she tried to escalate it to "this is how genocide starts," it completely fell apart. That's not leadership, that's irresponsible. Meanwhile, Wells stood firm for common sense, for facts, and for respecting democratic systems instead of smearing them for political points. This wasn't even close. One side came with narratives, the other came with reality, and reality won.